Alexander, we're here.
We are back.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm excited because it is hockey season, Alex. It's been
That's why
since
you're excited?
October, but
That's why you're
um,
excited?
not really.
I think there's something else. I think there's
I'm
something else.
just. What would that be?
I don't know. It's episode 300 or something.
Oh God, it is. Yeah,
I don't
episode
know. I don't
300.
know.
It's technically not, but it is
No,
because
our
we numbered
standards
it
it is.
because other stuff. But Alex,
'Cause-
I wanted to bring something up to start the show.
Okay.
As you may see behind me, I didn't know where these were, but my mom was making her bed. And normally she has this little like bull shark thing. I got a whale shark plushie that I got her for her birthday.
Okay.
And she was just making her bed and she's like, hey, can you just hold on to this? And she dropped these off in my room, I'm pretty sure, because I didn't see them. These are little pieces of paper from when I went to the draft with my mom and good old Daniel.
Yeah.
And obviously, because it was themed around like the cards and that, and you have all the rookies. And in the back, you could fill out the order as it goes. And I see at number 4, I see Shane with a sad face that I clearly wrote because I was not over the fact that the Habs didn't take him.
Man. Oh, man.
Thought you'd get a good laugh out of that to start the show.
Yeah, it was funny.
I'm sure it was for you.
Yeah. That's
Good
okay.
day.
It was
Still a
day.
fun. You know what? I still look back and I'm like, that's one of the more eventful drafts of the past couple of years.
Probably. Yeah.
So,
I can't think of another one off the top of my head. I wish I was there. I wish I was there, but the circumstances didn't allow it at the time.
It's just, it was extra thingy being a Habs fan, getting to go, them having the first pick, and then making those 2 big trades. You know, bringing Kirby Dach as like a chain reaction of all of that. Yeah. You know, I remember at the time saying like that was sort of the mark of like, here's the Canadians core going forwards. And just look at how good Kirby Dach's been. Yeah. You know, but conversations for another day. Leighton Hudson, God, he's good.
Where's the draft this year?
Isn't it Nashville? I think so.
Right. That sounds.
It sounds. Right. It's exciting if you're a Preds fan. They got a lot of picks.
Yeah,
a lot going on there.
Yeah, it is in Nashville. You are correct.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
I'm sure, you know, teams are going to be happy to be there. Executives are going to be happy. I wonder if the Coyotes are going to show up in full uniform again, like all matching.
Brad Marchand will be happy to be there, even though he probably won't. But it was just go with the joke. Brad Marchand.
Oh, okay, yeah, we didn't talk about that, did we?
Nah, it's because.
What about Sean McKenzie? Will he go?
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Anyway. A lot's happened since we last recorded, eh? We pushed this back a few days, and it has been a complete chain reaction. So
I love how should we point out that Daniel's not here?
He is not here.
Yeah,
some stuff did come up last minute, but of our 300 episodes, he has been a big part of it. He is still on the show, obviously, but we're all kind of busy. That's why it's a juggling of who's on, who's not.
Yeah,
he'll be back. Obviously, he'll be back maybe next episode, and then Alex may not be here. I may not be here.
No, I should be.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You never know.
I know. Magic.
You never know. So one thing we didn't talk about last episode, because I didn't want to mention it because we didn't know 100% at the time if the person in the video was Danny Briere's son. And I think later the day we recorded, it was confirmed, or the day after, when Danny Briere put out a statement with his son, Carson. Obviously, the video of 2 students pushing an unoccupied wheelchair down the stairs at a bar. Now, apparently they've been charged. That came out today with 2 separate, which I was even shocked to hear. They've been charged with 2 different charges here. Let me see if I can find them. I should have written this down. I think I screenshotted it. But excuse me. Disorderly conduct and criminal mischief.
Oh, okay.
In the statement, obviously Danny Briere, I think this initially came out the day after he was named interim GM of the Flyers. Put out a statement basically saying, I'm so disappointed by my son's actions. And then Carson did the same thing. I forgot to mention this. He's currently on his 2nd NCAA team after breaking team rules for his first squad.
The
past behavior was at Sorry, Alex, my throat is very dry. I'm sorry. I'm about to have a coughing spurt. Can you just...
All good. I'll say what I was going to say before. man, it was just I don't know, disappointing, I think is the word to say about all this.
Alex, I don't know how much of a dirtbag you have to be to push a wheelchair downstairs. Like I just don't know what in someone's mind thinks I'm gonna do that. Like, listen, I think he's like 23, right? So he's my age. Alex, you know what I've never once in my life thought of doing? Pushing a wheelchair down the stairs. And then people saying, "Oh, no one was in it." Dude, like that's
What
like
does that mean?
chopping off someone's legs and throwing them down the stairs and saying, "Well, there you go, bud."
No,
Like
but
that's how that
I
person lives.
I don't get what. Yeah, I don't get what that means. The no one was in it. That's an interesting way of putting it, I guess. I don't know. I think you put it pretty well. Like I don't know. I've never. I don't think anyone. Okay, let me put it like this. I know some people are definitely going to use the argument about how they were intoxicated, right? Well, I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen the excuse come out. I'll put it like this. Not that I'm a heavy drinker, but on my nights out, I've never seen or thought or even discussed in a group of friends that suggestion. It's just disappointing. Like, it's just, I don't know, heartbreaking. Like, from you're thinking about it from the girl's perspective, whose wheelchair it was. It was just, it's disappointing to see on all ends. And I don't really know what else to add. Like, personally, I don't know what the whole point of getting the Philadelphia Flyers involved in all this is. Like, maybe I'm missing a big part of all this. I don't.
I saw a picture that I obviously he's not. I don't think he's technically property of the team, but he once did participate in the developmental camp.
Carson Briere.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing of. I think you can kind of look at it as like people have made the point of like that's a thing of how you're raised. Like, here's the thing. I think you kind of had to if you're the Flyer. I don't know if Danny Briere wanted to address it, but the Flyers, I would imagine, have had, they've had a very long year of problems on and off the ice, and I wondered if it was just a thing of. Now, obviously, they did not acknowledge it, but would you be surprised if there was some sort of thing of, hey, buddy, you need to. His name was relevant in the news, Danny. So the moment this comes out, and not to mention just how much like hockey culture has been criticized. I just like if you're Danny Briere, and obviously he is the person like who really what happens to him and how he feels about this really doesn't matter because he was not the victim here. But can you just imagine if you're him, the day after the job that right now is yours to lose, a video of your goddamn kid doing something that like stupid, insensitive, cruel.
Is there of the 32 positions, is there really a tougher one at the moment to be in?
Probably Vancouver or Philly, one of them right now.
Yeah. I don't. First off, I have no idea about Danny Briere's and his significant other's parenting style. So like, I'm also 22. I can't really comment on that, unfortunately. But yeah, what do you think the PR person in Philadelphia was thinking? I just went to that as like someone in communications, like really, like today, like this is what we're doing. Like, no, I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, we are 2 days removed from firing our general manager. We're 2 weeks removed from the trade deadline, and Danny, this.
I could imagine that they're probably going to be asking for a pay rise with everything going on this year. I'm trying before we move on to find the name of the girl who's
it's Sydney.
Julie?
Sydney.
No.
Sydney.
Oh, sorry, Julie is the one who posted it, wasn't it? I remember her Twitter is like something like legless underscore something. And she was really really good about it. Now the thing about the intoxication. So do you know the YouTube account ECK Ek or however you say
I've
it?
seen it around. Yeah.
So he actually did a video about this, and in that video, he actually claims to have spoken to Sydney. And at least
Okay.
in that video, the claim about them being intoxicated was actually contested,
Okay.
which would make this 100 times worse. So
Yeah.
again, I'm sure that this is very much going to be followed. Apparently, Sydney also, by the way, there was a GoFundMe put up, and I
Yeah.
believe very, very quickly it already hit its goal. I just had it up. Let me see if I can find it again. Fundraiser.
The
Hold on.
last time I saw it was at
It's
like 9,000 or something.
it's just at 8,800. I
Oh,
think the
okay.
initial goal was around 3K.
Okay.
So, and apparently she said that the rest of it will probably be going towards some sort of cause. Wheelchairs aren't cheap, man. They aren't cheap.
No. Yeah, I don't it's a disappointing just disappointing overall, man. That's how I look at it. I don't really know where this story goes from here, to be honest. Like
I wonder if so him and the other guy both play. I think it's pronounced Mercyhurst.
yeah,
I wonder
Mercyhurst,
what
yeah.
because if a student gets charged with with criminal mischief and the other cause here, I wonder what happens to there. I would imagine they're gonna wash their hands of him. Maybe I don't know how skilled a player he is, and I mean we all know that means something. Unfortunately, in hockey, I don't know. Do we all wait for the Bruins to sign him? Maybe, but I just story to keep an eye on. But yeah, we were going to talk about it. It was just at the time I didn't want to come on here and be like, hey, so Carson, we didn't know.
I didn't
But
even know that happened. So we record last on Wednesday.
I think
Last
so, yeah.
Wednesday. I didn't even know that was happened. I thought that happened after we recorded. Okay, good to know. Not that that
It was
matters, but
it was quiet. It wasn't as much noise as you thought it'd be. But anyway, keep going here. It doesn't. Oh man, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We still have to talk about Jordan Bennington, James Reimer, Devin Levi. The Q is banning fighting.
yeah,
The wild card roundup where no one in the West wants to make the playoffs. The Leafs and the
jeez.
Avs, and then the Habs have two very very interesting games. Where do you want to go from here?
How about we talk about Reimer since we're
Okay,
on the serious discussions?
okay. So the Sharks had their Pride Night the other day, and early in the day, I want to say probably around afternoon all our time, because obviously they play in the West, so it's a whole bag of worms. By the way, how nice is it that we're recording at 6:30 and
And
there's
it's light
sunlight?
outside. I
I
know.
love it.
That's the
I
only
don't.
good. That's the only good thing about the time change.
It is. It is. So, Pride Night. Early in that day, it was basically announced where James Reimer put out a statement. The Sharks put out a statement. So no, the Sharks put out a statement. Then James Reimer had a media availability, and it also had his little statement that he was not going to be participating in warm up. He was not going to wear the Pride jersey. Um, and he basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, referenced him and his religion. Also had in the end of the statement basically saying, I support LGBTQ and all they should be part of their welcome in our sport and all this. I don't want to call it empty calories, but
No,
here's
no.
here's
Let's call it
what
what
I'll
it
say.
is.
Okay, empty. The Sharks themselves did a very good job with all this because during the game, I know they got crap for it, but they put out a lot of tweets that were very sort of informative about that kind of stuff. From an organizational point of view, I thought the Sharks handled this very well. But we talked about this with Ivan Provorov. Again, I am not a religious person, but I would like to believe that, the thing of religion is to be accepting of all, togetherness. This is stuff I've said before. I want to believe James Reimer because the guy has a great reputation, but then it's just sort of like, dude, again, I want to be careful about this because again, religion is such a messy subject. But dude, is Jesus gonna be that mad that you wore a rainbow jersey, man? Just to be like, hey, people who belong to this community, you're welcome here. Is that such a problem? To say, hey, we're cool with you. I just don't get it, Alex.
No, let's start with this. Let's put this out there right now at the start, so we don't have to address it afterwards. I think we're I can't believe I have to say this, but whatever. I think we're extremely entitled to be able to criticize him for his decision. Okay, right? Like, I know you agree with this. I've seen I'm sure you've seen it as well. Can't he just make his own decision? He can. He did. Did he? Adam, did he do it? Did he make his decision?
Yeah, he did not wear the jersey.
He made his decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are now allowed to criticize. That's the other side of the First Amendment, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. I just want to be clear. I very much disagree with him. Okay, let's put that out there. I am going to criticize him.
Okay.
And plenty of people have.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back to Ivan Provorov. I think one of the biggest things that I had the question of is, I just find it, like you said, I don't buy the explanation, because there are plenty of religious people who are very accepting of this community, of the LGBTQ plus community. So what am I missing? That's my question number one. What am I missing? Question number two is, what in his statement he says so what did he say in his statement again? Do you mind repeating that sentence about where I said empty calories, where he said, I respect them, but
he was still saying, that community is welcome in the game and all that, but basically went back to, my beliefs or religion. I can't wear this.
Okay. Yeah. So now my second question is, what does that mean? Because that seems quite contradictory in a way. Like I'm curious to know, especially in this case where I'd argue very different than if you look at we can talk about Provorov as a big example. Like, I know we can talk about the Russian Orthodox, but if you go look at look at not just the Russian Orthodox, look at just the Russian government. I don't want to pin it on people of not being accepting of that community. There's something a little bit bigger going on than religion there.
And there was an Athletic article that was making that argument like a week ago.
Yeah, I saw a couple of weeks ago. I didn't have a chance to read it, but I got the idea. What was my point? I did this to myself.
Well, let me draw it. Okay, go ahead.
I think my point is, like, you respect them, you want them to be part of the game. So what does the jersey mean? Like, what do you think the jersey means? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, think about it like this: is I would assume I'm not a student of religion again. I would assume the whole argument here is supporting sin. And but
you just told me you respect them. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but don't you see how that's that's contradictory?
It's exactly what I was going to say. It contradicts, because if your whole thing is, I don't want to wear a jersey that supports sin, then all of a sudden, first off, that's just such an insult to the people, that community anyway. And then it 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in this scenario. It should, but James, I don't know where you're getting this particular one from. It doesn't make sense. It's full of it. I do love, by the way, how all the stats, I think, like, what was it, Evolving Wild or Hockey Reference, like, put out his like advanced numbers of like goalie stats, and they made his name the rainbow font. Yeah, I think Don Decisions did the same thing for his player cards.
I think they did that for Provorov too.
They did, but it's just James, like that doesn't add up. And like, this is a dude, like, he is getting ripped apart for this. Rightfully so, I'd say. You know, and this is a guy who, again, has been seen as an angel.
Yeah.
What was it Steve Dangle called him? Was he oh god crap, what was it? The angel robot from Winnipeg? Was that his nickname?
I don't remember.
Or was he just Optimus Prime? Like he was like I think the moment everyone saw that, they thought of Steve Dangle, and he tweeted like, I'm disappointed and sad.
He was the most beloved person in this city on that hockey team during the time he played.
Would you like hands to know down what his former GM had to say?
Oh, Brian Burke. Yes, I saw.
Sir.
Can I just say something as you're pulling this up?
Yep.
I love. I don't want to compare situations because that's totally unfair. But I love how we're having this conversation about these jerseys. But nothing. You're telling me there's nothing in the. Fuck it. Whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but I'm going to say it anyways. There's nothing in religion that's anti-war, but the military appreciation night comes around and we're all, listen, man, I have my thoughts about wars and certain wars and whatever. We don't need to get into that. That's we're not on the Joe Rogan podcast, so we don't need to get into those theories.
We aren't oversimplified.
Pardon?
We aren't oversimplified.
Yeah, we aren't oversimplified. That's a good one. Can he make a new video?
I know, right? I know.
Okay, sorry. Back to I just love that we have the conversations this time around. And especially, that's all I'll say. I'm not going to get into it. I just think it's ironic.
I continue to love Brian Burke because not only is he a great personality, but it's just he has been probably the biggest supporter of this group in his entire time, like in the league. Obviously, you know, a lot to do will be his late son and all that. But this is the quote he had. He said on the NBC Sharks broadcast. I repeat that I'm extremely disappointed. I wish players would understand that the Pride sweaters are about inclusion and welcoming everybody. A player wearing Pride colors or tape isn't endorsing a set of values or enlisting in a cause. He is saying you are welcome here and you are in every single NHL building. I thought that was very well put.
Yeah, that sounds like Brian Burke.
I love him. I love that man. We need more of him. But one more thing, again, I wanted to point this out. Again, a good thing for the Sharks to sort of get ahead of this is on 32 Thoughts Hockey Night, Elliot Friedman pointed out that having it announced early, they didn't want it to come out and be a surprise, kind of like Philly and Ivan Provorov. I also imagine they did not want to surprise the owner, like Mr. Fletcher did.
Yeah, that was tough.
It was very bad. It was very bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else. If I keep talking, I might get myself in trouble. So let's unless you have something else to say.
Listen, I don't know if it's just the way we were raised, but I will continue to say I always find it interesting when you look back on history and you think, like, again, my first year at uni, I took a history of the Caribbean course. That was a lot about like the thing that like the slave trade, right? And it's so, how do I put this? It has always seemed so dumb to me that people are always treated differently, you know, whether it be color of the skin. It's just dumb to me. Like, why? Like, I find it, okay, so someone likes girls, or like, so like growing up, I was like you just think about it like this. When we were kids, the term gay was an insult. Like, I'm sure you were probably called it. I was called it. I'll tell you that. Like, and in a derogatory fashion, right? Like, that wasn't too long ago. But it's just like, I don't understand if you're a guy who likes a guy, why that's a bad thing. If you're a girl who likes a girl, if you don't identify as something, I just don't understand how people and what gets someone to a point where they have that much of a problem with it. Obviously, there's a part of it how you're raised in that. But it's just so stupid to me. We can't just look at people and think, hey, do you know what? Like, at the end of the day, we're all people here. I'm not trying to, like, blame social justice and wave the white flag. I'm not trying to do that. It's just, like, this is generally how I think, Alex. I've always been like, I don't care your gender. I don't care how you look. For the love of God, we're all people here. I don't get how we can't all be supportive of that. It feels like the most basic human thing in the world, and we can't get there.
Yeah, you put it
That's
pretty spot on, man.
and
You put it pretty
that's
spot.
all.
You said it a lot better than I would
Hey,
have.
listen,
So I'm glad you
let's
said it.
I'm just gonna set the next segment so I can mute my mic and cough.
Okay.
As my lungs are trying to burst out of my chest like what are they called? Not the the other name for the xenomorphs, the face huggers,
I don't know.
alien,
Alien.
Not Daisy
I don't.
Ridley, not the other one, not Daisy Ridley,
That's Star
Daisy
Wars.
Ridley Skywalker.
Stop.
Oh,
Enough.
what a god!
Move on. Move on.
I'll
Move on.
never get over it. Let's what we got.
No,
Okay,
can I just bring up the TikTok I sent
Oh yeah,
this
go ahead.
morning? The one about the Clone Wars and
Yeah.
sorry, like where it's the where it's just some text. It says, Anakin. Anakin says, "I'm having a kid with Senator Amidala," and Kenobi goes, "That goes against the Jedi code." And Anakin goes, "Hey, how is Satine? I can't even remember how to say her name.
It is Satine.
Satine's nephew." Then Kenobi goes, "Listen here, you little shit."
It's man, you ever remember that clip where they're traveling on the ship with Satine and
Yeah.
Anakin's like, "Go save your girlfriend." He's like, "Anakin, no." Oh man. It's funny, I asked Daniel, I'm like, "How's Clone Wars?" in the chat, and he didn't get back to me. You know, it's just funny. My one of my eye doctors,
Yeah.
her and her husband are a big like Star Wars fan. So I asked her, I'm like, "Have you seen Clone Wars?" She's like, "No." And then I asked her like a couple weeks later, I'm like, "Have you watched it yet?" She said, "No." I'm like, "Oh, that's your fault."
I do want to rewatch it. I won't lie.
Same.
It's a good show.
Same. Yeah, man, it was tremendous. It was amazing.
At the end of the
at
the end of the show, I want to just get your opinion on something Star Wars I saw earlier on TikTok that I didn't send. So, but let's get back to the hockey. I don't want to bog down the Star Wars.
You want to laugh at Jordan Bennington?
Okay, go ahead and cough. Let me.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, yeah.
So, if you haven't seen, Jordan Bennington did his thing again, and by thing I mean threw a temper tantrum when
being a baby after allowing too many goals and getting pulled.
Yeah, and then it got to a point where, so I don't remember which goal it was, but he had let in, I think, his third straight goal, by the way. And then he started chirping at the Minnesota bench. After you got scored on, he was chirping at the bench. Then he let in another one or two more after that. And after the goal, I don't remember which St. Louis Blues player it was that kind of went into him a little bit. And then he lost it. He went in
Minnesota.
Pardon? Yes, I mean Minnesota. Sorry, I don't
think it was Hartman.
Hartman. Okay, it was Ryan Hartman, first line center. Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
Who'd run into Bennington, and then Bennington lost it, and then ran into the celebration scrum, and started punching
so
people.
Dirty. I hate which
was a little bit of a scum thing to do. Won't lie. Why? So let me ask you this. I saw the discussion on Twitter turn into something about personality for whatever godforsaken reason.
Okay.
It turned into about his personality. Don't get it mistaken. I don't have an issue with him acting like that. I have an issue with him acting like that every time he gets blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, like, I'm trying to think who are some of the best trash talkers in the NHL?
Marchand.
Yeah. You know when he's most effective? When his team is winning.
Not even just that. Probably when they're in it.
When they're in it. Okay, fine. But they've been winning for like a decade now.
Yeah,
so
fair.
Fine. So when they're in it, even when they're losing and he throws and he does his thing, people are pissed off.
Yep.
The issue with Jordan Bennington is he only does it when he loses. He doesn't do it when he's winning.
Here's the thing: is we haven't even gotten to the goalie fight yet.
Oh yeah,
or the non-existent goalie fight. So he ends up getting a two game suspension for this. Now he has never been suspended in the NHL before. I don't know if he has in the AHL. but that wouldn't matter anyway. So he's never been suspended and automatically
nor fined. I don't think
that's outrageous. So first off, getting 2 games right away is extraordinary. That's kind of unheard of. Unless I'm sure there's been some guy we're out of the blue, but you just don't see that happen like that. What would make me mad is if you're a member of the St. Louis Blues, you're having a bad year. You got called up by your coach after all your best players got traded. Not all of them. You still got the young guy. But you know what I mean? Like your Conn Smythe winner, your captain, one of your most effective scorers of like the past 8 years in Tarasenko and then O'Reilly I mentioned. But, and then you've got to deal with almost on like every fortnight you have to deal with this dude dragging you into a fight. Like, I don't get why. Like, somebody went over the timeline of Jordan Bennington's act, we should call it. I remember talking about the San Jose stuff on this show, where I drew a diagram of where the tunnel that the Blues had to go off was, and how Bennington changed his path to go fake punch Carlson, chirp the bench, then leave the tunnel after not wanting to fight Devin Dubnyk. It's just, listen, I'm okay with him being a bit of an unlikable dude.
Sure.
I like villains. However, villains need to get their comeuppance eventually. And being pulled just isn't enough. It hasn't stopped him. His coach calling him out didn't stop him.
Yeah, and he's been called out twice. This team has been called out individually, and then Berube literally called out the team less than a month ago. I have no issue with how he's acting. I just have an issue. It's every single time he gets blown out. That's not personality. That's acting like a baby, man. Come on. Like, I don't understand. Like, you are, and he's not even having a good season. Like, you bring up Marchand. You brought up Marchand. You know why it's so fun? It's so, well, listen, as a hockey fan, I'm sure it's enjoyable. As a Leaf fan, and I'm sure you as a Habs fan, you feel the same way. Do not enjoy it. But you know what makes it better? You know why he's such a good player? Because he's good. He's been good. He has been good for multiple years, and he is an absolute SHIT disturber.
Yes.
Like,
one of the best wingers in the league. You could try and make an MVP case for him. But yeah, Marchand's incredible. And do you know what's satisfying about Marchand in points? Do you know what my favorite clean hit of all time is?
I do, but tell me.
PK Subban on Brad Marchand. Everyone knows that hit. That was comeuppance. You know what I mean? There's a reason when he had that turnover in Game 7 against the Blues, and that picture at the end of the game of him crying went so viral. There's comeuppance there. There's a bit of, and funny enough, against Jordan Bennington losing. That funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. The conversation right now should be that Bennington finally got his fight and he got a bit of justice. However, I did not look up the refs for this, and that is a grave injustice. The refs stopped if people have not, I know we're a little late to this, but I just need to, Alex, if I gave you 10 tries to name the goalie who was going to fight Jordan Bennington, would Marc-Andre Fleury have been one of those 10?
Probably not.
No, absolutely not. So perpetual nice guy Marc-Andre Fleury goes down the length of the ice. The refs stop it. Freeman was mentioning because they didn't have their masks on. Hoopla. He also mentioned apparently because Fleury had fights in junior and got hurt. The refs were not thinking about that in that very second. I refuse to believe they knew that. Like, stop it. Do you think Sidney Crosby knows that off the top of his head? No, he doesn't. Probably found out after like the hoopla, and Fleury may have told him. Like, stop it. That's not realistic. By the way, shout out to Ron McLean saying that the rest did a good job there. Not surprised. I just, like, what were those refs thinking? Like, I said like 2 episodes ago, fighting's going to be out of the game in like a decade. By the way, the Q is proving me right now. But it's just like, I have to ask the question, why did you stop that? Forget about the masks and that. I've seen players take off their helmets before fights before. How did you not let this happen? Why are you protecting Jordan Bennington, who does nothing but make your job difficult because he causes all this crap? You gave him a match penalty too.
The ironic part of about all of this is how garbage the refs have been all year. Respectfully, like, I get it. It's a super hard job. I couldn't do that
the game's
anytime
fast.
Soon. The game's fast, man. I 100% agree. But it's been so blatantly bad this year. And it's not even just the NHL. The NBA's having the same problem. I'm sure, like, MLB's just starting up. I'm sure we'll hear about it. There were controversial calls in the Super Bowl. So, like, listen, it's not an NHL only issue.
I don't remember much of that game, to be honest with you.
I know. No comment. I can't imagine they didn't allow that, but some of the other stuff is just magically okay. I don't get it. Just someone's gonna have to explain it to me like I'm an idiot. Like, how you don't let that happen. Just let them fight. Later, I've never seen more people in agreement on something in recent memory than everyone saying these two goalies should fight.
You know what's not a good sign, Alex? When your team is currently blowing it to the Wild, your goalie gets pulled, is making a big hoopla, and they're not even booing at that. They're booing at the refs breaking up the fight. Like, that's how bad, like, down bad those refs were. That is not good. That is remember when the goalie fight happened in the Battle of Alberta? And I think it got like 2 million views on YouTube, which for hockey is amazing, right? Like, that's otherworldly for this game. Bennington getting one is going to hit that peak too, because ESPN's going to be all over that. Maybe not Stephen A. Smith, but like, they would push the hell out of that because it's the bad guy taking his loss. I mean, who knows if he wins the fight or not? But like, still, like, it happens. It's just it's a shame, man. It's a shame. I have a lot more respect for Marc-Andre Fleury, by the way. I know I'm very critical of him, but like, I love it. I love it so much. Can we talk about something about his agent, Mr. Alan Walsh?
Whose agent? Marc-Andre Fleury?
Yeah, Mr. Alan Walsh.
Yeah.
How funny is it that when he tweets something, it's going to be one of four things?
4? I thought it was just 3.
I thought it was something new. Either promoting agent provocateur,
fair,
promoting his clients.
Yeah.
Martin Ferg, how are you? Ripping Gary Bettman, or praising Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. It's always one of those 4. It's really funny.
That is. It's better than some of the other accounts out there.
I mean, how many agents are really that active on Twitter?
Frankly, just Milstein and Walsh are the most active, yeah.
And all Milstein does is basically say, "Hey, we've signed a guy."
Yeah, and they're all going to Vancouver. So.
And they're all Russian. That's not a joke, but they're all Russians except Evander Kane.
Yeah, and I don't even know if how many more Russians he can get, because I believe a couple years ago they just stopped allowing him to represent players in the KHL because he was taking everyone overseas, and they didn't like that. So we'll see.
Hey, good for him. Yeah, man, he's making the money. He's chasing that bag, as they'd say.
Oh yeah.
We've alluded to it a few times. So the QMJHL, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, if you don't know what it is, next season seems to be implementing a ban on fighting. Now, Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts Hockey Night Edition did sort of point towards...
Sorry, which edition? I'm just joking. Sorry.
It's all right.
I had to.
Pointed towards that during the pandemic, the government really helped keep the Q afloat. And part of that seems to be, you're going to give us something, and that something seems to be removing fighting. Jeff Merrick expanded upon this, basically saying, I think Merrick may have seen the first part. Normally I put JM or EF, but I forgot to. But if it's something about the junior leagues, it's probably Jeff Merrick. He said the WHL currently have no plans on doing the same. The OHL plan to see how it changes the game Also, they made a note of how will the Memorial Cup work at this point, because obviously that's all the leagues. Alex, I'm not surprised. I think, listen, regardless of if there was political influence or not, again, I said it earlier this episode, fighting's going to be gone eventually. I'm just surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be because of the political interference. I'm surprised the first one was the Q.
So was I. I thought it was going to be Ontario, considering they wanted to remove hitting 18 months ago.
Like, it's like, if you want to talk about hockey purists and, never wanting to move from tradition, and I am a Habs fan for saying this, but Quebec.
Yeah. No, I was am I surprised, as you said, about the political interference? Absolutely not. Welcome to the world of sports. Like, I just don't understand it. This is a weird one. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'm entirely convinced like you. I think maybe a few years ago, if you asked me like five years ago now, if I thought hockey or if I thought fighting was going to be a hockey 15 years from then, I probably would have said no. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I have a feeling it will be. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think it's odd that they're doing this. I wonder, to me, it's if it is politically charged, which probably is, what is the argument, especially from that part from that premiere? I'd be very curious to know.
Yeah, he's never been shy about being a hockey fan either, has Mr. Legault, let's be honest.
No, he's never been shy about many things.
No, he hasn't. The Habs are winning too many games, he said.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did. He did.
When?
I'm not kidding.
Wait, where or when did he say
it was
this?
A couple months ago. Yeah, it came up on Twitter. It was a video. Yeah. He was like, "We need Bedard. What's going on here?"
That's so funny. I kid you not. That's so funny. I can't imagine Doug saying that. Oh, I can, but he'd make
friends. I can't. Man, I do not miss. I'll tell you what. I do not miss those pandemic press conferences with that guy. God, I do not.
I can't. I remember
that was a low point.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, not only was it just him, it was him and Trudeau would have them like back to back, and it was just like, give me a break. You're already forcing me to stay inside. Like, how about you go to bed? Like, how about just go do something else? I don't want to hear you talk.
It was cute when we could see JT's kid like in the window being recognized. That was kind of cute. But yeah, it was like, I don't want to listen to you two. I want to go outside. Well, I didn't care. I like being alone inside, but
you telling me the same thing every day doesn't make me feel better.
Like, if I hear flatten the curb one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to break a curb with a hammer or something. I'm sick of hearing it. Flatten your curb then, Doug. Oh, God. And remember that like shop that was open? And like it didn't have, like, it wouldn't enforce masks. And instead of shutting them down, at first he like gave him a warning or closed him for a day. He opened the next day. Turned out he didn't have a license to open a restaurant. Like, man, oh man, Doug, what are you doing, man? Oh, that was tough. That was unfortunate. That
doesn't beat the and I know we're on a completely different track here, but that doesn't beat when he
announced little shovel.
Oh no, I think this one, what I'm gonna say, beats that too. That was funny. I won't lie. I think he's got to know at this point it's funny, but
yeah,
when he put in restrictions. And then maybe a week later, his daughter, like publicly on social media, also just crapped on the restrictions. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, that's a nightmare. That is a nightmare.
That's gotta be, like, it's like the political joke of you get a significant other, you have a model family, and then one just like you're constantly worried about your public image, and then your kid's just like, yeah, this is awful.
Yeah, no.
Kind of like funny. Danny Briere and Carson Briere.
It was so funny.
All right. Okay. But hey, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see how exactly they how they enforce it. Like, is it going to be a game suspension, that type of thing? But I'm interested to see what happens going forward with it.
Yeah.
Oh God. How about now we talk about Mr. Devin Levi.
The
I typed
savior.
in his name. Yeah, the second coming of Ryan Miller, Dominik Hasek. I'm taking a bit of the piss. I am. He's had tremendous numbers, to be honest, in the past couple of years in Northeastern. Part of that Jaden Struble club. That's right. It's the Jaden Struble club. Man, Northeastern. A lot of players. Really good players come out of Northeastern in the past couple of years.
It's unfortunate Daniel's not here.
Why?
Well, I mean,
World Juniors gold medalist.
Tell us
silver.
He's going to tell us about the 7 games he played in that tournament, man.
Yeah, and he was incredible. And then then Trevor Zegras is like, he hasn't been tested, and then Trevor Zegras and that team beat them. That was honestly like one of the most legendary moments in World Junior history.
Yeah, that was.
Especially when everyone's like, "Oh, he's talking crap. He's gonna lose," and then they did it.
Yeah.
If only he had actually gone with the bit that bin with the Canada logo was saying they were trash.
Yeah,
I love that group of the U.S. developmental program. I always say I love that group so much. They're the next faces of the league.
Yeah, that was a good group. But Devin Levi, man, like his numbers in the last 2 years in the NCAA are ridiculous. I'm sure you've seen them.
So
but just wild.
933 save percentage this year in 34 games, 2 less last year, 952. That's not bad, man.
No, and I think from the Sabres perspective this is a guy they got in the Sam Reinhart deal. And one of the and listen, I don't know what his impact's going to be right now. I don't. But I think if you look at where one of the struggles at the moment for the Sabres are, it's goaltending, right? Like I don't, all due respect, I don't think 40-year-old Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie are going to be your saviors. And I know Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's had time up and down in the NHL and the AHL, and when he's in the NHL, they've given him good minutes. But again,
results have not been there though.
No,
I picked him up in fantasy a couple of times.
Oh, so it's your fault. So it's your fault.
So it's
your fault that he went down, started going downhill. No, I'm just joking. But I would say like we've talked about it. Like I think we've mentioned it the last 3 episodes each time. I don't think one goalie is enough anymore in the NHL, unless you're one of 3 or 4 lucky teams who has a top goaltender. So I think having Devin Levi, and I have a feeling they have one more guy, but maybe they don't.
Will let us know.
Because I know they traded Eric Portillo, I think it was, to the Kings at the deadline. But again, always good to have 2 goalies. Was my point.
Well, them in Montreal are going to end up bidding more for Carter Hart. That's what's going to happen. Oh, yeah. God, we haven't even talked about the Leafs and the Habs. Oh, my God, we so much. Matt Murray and Alex Kerfoot are the stars in the 48 save percentage. And if it was that bad, if it was that low for 48%, that's tough. 48 saves for Matt Murray, and Alex Kerfoot gets the shootout winner. That's why he's still around. And just like that, he gets the win over his former team.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think Matt Murray had a terrible game. I thought he had a good game. I didn't really have an issue with it. The first goal, like, what on earth is he supposed to do? The puck's literally flying. I don't know if you saw the goal. It tipped off of someone, and then it literally went up. And you couldn't see it. You would have lost the puck.
Those are the most terrifying moments when you're watching the game, by the way.
It was tough.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
As I was sitting at the bar in Hamilton, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Tell the listeners about the bartender.
Oh man, like I just am not allowed to know any Leaf fans. I'm really not. So I was in Hamilton for work, whatever, and I was off the clock, obviously, at night. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the hotel lounge / bar. And so I'm sitting there. I'm like, hey, man, where can I have a drink? And I'm like, what are the chances I could get the Leafs game on? He goes, oh, are you a Leafs fan? I go, yeah, unfortunately, as I respond, as I say usually. And he goes, oh, I'm a Canadiens fan. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I laughed. I go, ha 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 ha. I'm like, funny. I'm like, good, great.
Did he put the game on?
He did. Both nights. The Sens the second night, and then the night before was Carolina. So
when you went for the second game, did he recognize you? And he's like, there he is.
Oh man, we were best friends. At the end of the first night, we were best friends.
That's good.
Yeah, he remembered me very well. Too much, I'd argue. But no. Yeah, so I thought it was a good game. Like, even both nights. Listen, every time the Hurricanes and the Leafs play, can they stop having 10-goal games?
That's tough, man.
Can we just stop?
Who was in net for that? Was that Kochetkov?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Yes, it was, because I got negative points thanks to our great point system. Thanks to our great point system that we do. Whatever.
I was about to say we both decided that.
That's what I said. That's what I said. I said
we.
I said we. Don't worry.
Comrade Nemyov.
No. I don't really have much else to like add on to the Leaf stuff, but I saw these lines at practice, and I've seen some people comment on it, and I'd be very curious to know what you thought about them doing this in the playoffs.
Okay.
I'm going to ignore the defensive pairings because Brody's not in them, and it's Brody's, I think, day to day at the moment. I don't know. So these are the forward lines I practiced today. Okay. So don't be alarmed by the first line. Okay. Just hear me out, because this is, I think, what they used on Saturday. So it's Kerfoot, Matthews, Yarncrook.
Yeah, make me sick. Even though Yarncrook and Matthews seem to love each other. Yeah. But Kerfoot's just there. No. Yeah.
Bunting, Tavares, Marner.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now it's McMahon, Lafferty, Nylander.
Oh, okay. So we're going. Okay. Yeah.
Aston Reese, Kampf, Achari.
The fourth line screams playoffs to me, does it not?
It does. So,
man, I'm still not convinced about Nylander and the third line being the best thing.
But
mainly because I need him producing for the next 3 weeks. But
But wait, I'm going to make a suggestion.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if they do this for the playoffs. What if when O'Reilly comes back, they take out McMahon, and O'Reilly's obviously the first guy in, no question.
Yes.
Your third line of Lafferty, O'Reilly, Nylander.
And
and you keep the top six the way it was.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
Because if Matthews is as good as we all say he is, and I believe he is, I believe he'll make it. Like, I don't think Yarncrook, first off, is as bad as everyone talks about him being. Personally,
the way he's been playing with Matthews, I think, would indicate that.
Yeah,
he's a pretty good player.
I'm not the biggest fan of Kerfoot.
I don't think anyone on this podcast is
on the first line, but I can deal with it. I wonder in a situation, especially maybe when, whether they're at home or whether they're away, when they have the matchup advantage, like. Imagine having to run out. So you run out Kerfoot, Matthews, Yarncrook, and then after that, the next guys you're going to face are Bunting, Tavares, Marner, and then you're going to face Lafferty, O'Reilly, Nylander.
Yeah, that's pretty mean. And then that fourth line of just miserable time
and just pure defense, miserable pure defense.
I really, really like that actually.
I've been warming, like I've seen people talking about it, and I'd like to thank Mark Masters for posting the lines as per usual. But I think I'm warming up to that idea. Like, I agree, I'm not necessarily fond of Nylander on the third line, but I think when you look at how Keefe mixes up his lines mid-game. I don't have an issue with them starting the game with the lines I just listed to you, because I've seen on multiple occasions in both games over the weekend, and I think in Colorado against Colorado too, they've put Tavares, Matthews, Marner together, and they've done it in the past, right? I think they did it against Columbus. I'm sure they did it last season against Tampa too. So like, I like going. I've been the proponent, and I think you have as well, as if when you're bringing in Ryan O'Reilly, you're going 3 deep. You're going 3 centers deep.
I have been screaming about that for like 2 years. Yeah.
Right. Like, I think you have to. So I just want to throw those lines out at you.
Here's what I love about the O'Reilly acquisition is I don't think there's anything Leafs fans get scared of more than seeing, oh, hey there. So they're loading up the top line. Okay. What's this? Nylander's playing center. Oh no. Which has happened at some pretty important parts of the season and no one wants to see it. O'Reilly fixes that. Which is something that I think is going to be pretty useful come playoff time.
Yeah.
Especially against Tampa Bay. But I like where you're going with that. O'Reilly was just such a smart move.
It was like they needed an impact forward or something.
Yeah, and then and centers are good players, and it helps build the rest of the lineup. And it's almost like Mike Babcock was right about center. No, about
whoa.
This is
don't do that.
We felt Patty should have been. Dude, it's fine.
Dude, if Mike Babcock was still the coach, how late do you think Zach Aston Reese would be out on the ice?
If Mike Babcock was still a Leaf, I think Austin Matthews would be going to Arizona next year, but he's not.
In 2 years, okay?
Yeah, but whatever.
Just leave me alone.
It's gonna suck next year. All of next year is gonna suck. The moment, actually, forget about it. If the Leafs win the Cup, the moment their playoffs, period, no matter first, second, third, fourth round, the moment it's done, until the moment he signs an extension. It is going to be so obnoxious in Canada. What? Every freaking radio show, every TV hit, every Saturday goddamn night for Hockey Night in Canada, the intermission stuff, every 32 Thoughts segment, it's every Jeff Merrick and Elliot Freeman on the Jeff Merrick show. Everything is going to be, every overdrive is going to be about that, and I'm going to hate it.
Okay, so I think I've said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it again. Unless it is actual information, we are not talking about it. I'm not speculating. Hey man, I think we did a really good job at not speculating about Cole Caulfield's contract. So whatever we did with Cole Caulfield, let's do it again with Nylander and Matthews. Let's do it. I think we've talked about Caulfield like twice this year. If
Basu, Godin, Angles aren't talking about it, I don't care.
But the thing is, all the important people are going to be talking about Matthews. So we're going to have to disseminate the information, pick out what we want to talk about.
The SDP thumbnails are going to be just obnoxious. Chris Johnson's going to be there about, he's going to be, those freaking thumbnails. What are they doing?
I don't know. They're having some fun.
Is this what is, I don't need to know. It's the only one of their shows they do that with too. I don't understand it. Sorry, but it's just very strange. Okay. I think now we can go to Les Canadiens de Montréal.
Yeah.
Nos équipes nationales.
Let's do it.
Play. Okay, so the Canadiens. It's been a tough week. It's been a very tough week. Since, getting the actual snot beaten out of them by the Avalanche, they then get the snot beaten out of them by the Florida Panthers. And I don't know the last time I saw a goal where both goalies were pulled. Mombo gets pulled in the first, and then later in the game, Allen gets pulled, and Mombo goes back in.
Jeez.
I've never quite seen that sort of happen. But what I really, really wanted to talk about, Alex, was, and I think this is the big story coming out of Montreal, and I do think people are trying to make more about it than there is actually there. So our good friend Jonathan Drouin, who I try with Jonathan. I've tried for years. It's kind of like me and Erik Karlsson saying he's back, but Karlsson gave me something this year. Jonathan's not giving me anything, but he's been playing well like the past month and a half. So Jonathan Drouin, after this Panthers game, obviously they were in Florida for their road trip. Misses the team meeting. I think he was 2 minutes late. He slept through his alarm. He said that was the first time he's ever missed a meeting. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Alex, but when Martin St. Louis was first hired, he obviously, what's talked about in him is, concepts and letting players play freely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing off of reads. And he mentioned, I do have some, what's the term? I have some rules that you can't, that you basically can't, non-negotiables is what he called them. He said, I have some non-negotiable.
Okay.
And I figured pretty quickly from this, like I think many others did, that Jonathan Drouin clearly broke one of those unbreakable rules. Drouin apparently was very as good as one could be in the position he was in. And what happened? Well, he wasn't allowed to participate in practice after he missed it. The day after, he was doing lines on the fourth line. All of a sudden, he is dressed for the game against the Lightning. However, the first shift of his line goes out there, and who's playing center? No, it's Chris Tierney. First period, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Second period's the same. Third period's the same against the team that drafted him and who he had a very messy divorce with. Alan Moss client. Now, this is the first time it's happened since Sam Reinhart years ago in Buffalo. Now, first I want to, before we get into is this the right thing, whatever, something I want to mention to people in case they missed it. For anyone wondering why would you put him out there even? So Caden Goalie was injured. So technically we know how ripped apart the Habs are in injuries. So because Goalie was hurt and Jonathan Drouin was technically a healthy player, they couldn't use an emergency recall. Mm-hmm. So they had to do it. Now, they could have played him. However, this was clearly about sending a message and telling the guys, listen, this is what, this is the standard we're trying to set here in Montreal. Right. Now, after the game, Marty St. Louis said, basically, in my eyes, it's over. There are some coaches you don't believe when they say stuff. I believe Marty St. Louis. Yeah. Would you have done this? Is it the right thing to do? What are your thoughts?
Again, I've never been a head coach. Well, I coached a soccer team, a house league soccer team a couple of summers ago. Yeah. With a friend. With a friend. Yeah, I did with a friend. So
were you the good cop or the bad cop?
I was the good cop. I hope he doesn't hear that, but I'm pretty sure I was a good cop.
Sorry, before we keep when it's like who wants to be here, but you were the guy who was trying to quietly before a head coach comes in after a bad game, you're like, gentlemen, that's not good enough. And then that guy comes in.
No, we had different styles. Let's put it like that. Like it was house league, man. Like no one was getting yelled at. Like, listen, like it was
you can't tell the kids though. It's just house league. Come on though.
No, but there was no yelling. Like, it's not like no one walked in there and threw chairs or like there was nothing.
How well did you do?
We did pretty well. Like, we had some kids like show up half the time. So it was like every other week, which was unfortunate. And one of them was our best players at the time. So that's unfortunate. But
did you bench him?
No, but it was house league. That's my point. Okay. It's like, it's house league and there's parents involved. Like I can't bench the kid. Like it's not his fault. I don't know. But my point is like, I've never been a head coach. Okay. Let me preface. Let's start with that. So I don't know. I've never had to create a set of rules. I'd imagine if I was in Martin St. Louis' position, I probably would do the same. Like, I don't think this is an uncommon rule. Like, I don't think this, right? No. Like, that's why, like, I didn't see it as much as you. I'm sure the French media or whoever were all over this, and I'm sure it was very much blown out of proportion. I just think this is something. This is I'd argue it's probably an extremely common rule. So I don't have many thoughts on it. I don't think this is more so a lesson for Jonathan Drouin. I think this is more so a lesson for everybody else, more so the younger guys. Is like, hey, like actions have consequences, would be my argument. And I think you can't if you're trying to establish a culture, like you said, you have to establish the ground rules. And this might be the most minor thing in the world, but it is what it is. This happened. I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal.
I have never coached any sort of sport, but I was in cadets when I was a young man between the ages of 12 and 18. And eventually you become a position where you're a senior and you have to sort of lead some kids, right?
Yeah.
Now, I always had a sort of saying that how can I trust a kid to run a squad if I can't trust him to shine his boots? You know what I mean? If you can't do that little of a detail, how can I trust you in a leadership position, right? It's a minor thing, but yeah, I agree with it. Because let's be honest, Jonathan Drouin's most likely not going to be a Canadian in a couple months. Yeah. I doubt he's going to get re-signed. I really doubt it. But I think it speaks to the point. They had their team photo day today, right?
Mm-hmm.
People made a point of pointing out that there were smiles there. Now, I know it's kind of
Wait a second. Sorry, what? What does that mean?
I'm not kidding. The point was made that this is a team that is fifth last, but they're all having a good time, and the coach is laughing, and Yuppie's coming out with no clothes on. I don't know why. They posted like 4 different things of Yuppie naked this year. Like, who's okaying this? But, it's the reason I mention it, I don't buy too much into a team picture, to be honest with you. Alex, but let's be honest here. We can tell that team is nowhere near as miserable as they were under Dominique Ducharme.
Sure.
Like, I think that's just a fact. And Jonathan Drouin seems to have taken it. You know how I know for a fact this was Jonathan Drouin didn't have too much of a problem with this, Alex?
How? Was he smiling?
Because Alan Walsh didn't tweet anything about it. I guarantee you, if Jonathan Drouin had too big a problem with this, or he thought it was too ridiculous, I promise you Alan Walsh would have tweeted something.
Sure.
Because there is a history not just with the agent, but with the player back in Tampa. Right. Again, I like the thing of, again, you mentioned the thing to the younger players. They have to understand. Like, they're also doing these other like sub pictures of like, here are all the players born in the 2000s, and you realize, oh crap, that's the next core. It's a message to them. I'm perfectly okay with it. Again, it happens. PK Subban missed practices all the time. There is this thing of like, they were doing this video with the players. It was like, what was the worst excuse you saw for being late for a team meeting? And someone was like, oh, this one player pretended his car was broken down. And like, and they were saying, yeah, this one player was like, he was even opening his hood and pretending it was broken.
No,
and it was PK.
Oh god.
Like, he was notoriously bad for it. Yeah, and the people who are just ripping Drew and saying he doesn't care or anything, I think his play lately says otherwise, to be honest. I think he's been playing well. The dude's invested. Like, I think it's there are corners of Habs Twitter that are taking this way overboard. Not to mention, like, people love ripping Jonathan Drouin. But I thought it was, I think it's a simple, they're done, they're over. Marty St. Louis doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's really going to hold a grudge with that. He said it's over. We'll see if he's playing next game. I think, yeah, it's a thing. Set the culture, set the rules, and let's move on here.
Exactly.
So there you go. That's what you want in your head coach, and the players have to learn. So there we go.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it. Okay, to finish off, Alex, it's time for the wild card roundup.
All right.
Oh boy, man! I just need to know why no one is trying in the Western Conference. Okay, so here's how the wild card looks. First off, in the East, the Panthers, not the Panthers. Jeez, we're not getting to them yet. The Penguins have fallen to the second wild card spot. They are 2 points back of the Islanders. But stop me if you heard this before. The Islanders have 2 games in hand, as they have all year.
No, the Penguins have 2 games in hand.
I meant to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. So do the Panthers.
Yeah, and the Panthers are a point back of the Penguins and 3 points back of the Islanders. Yeah, sir. What I mean to say is, stop me if you heard this before. The Islanders have played extra games.
Yeah.
They have also, Islanders and Washington have played the same amount of games, but Washington is 7 points back of the Islanders and 5 points back of the Penguins, and the Penguins have 2 games in hand over them. So the separation has started. I didn't realize Washington passed Buffalo and Ottawa, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like right now the race is the Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Florida.
Yeah.
Who are your 2 teams making it, and why? And you can include another one of those other teams if you don't think it's going to happen.
No, you know what? I've been saying Buffalo because I think it'd be a really cool story. I have a feeling that the separation has just begun. I think Buffalo's 2-6-2 in their last 10. They have 13 games left. Maybe they have a great last stretch of the season. I don't know.
Devin Levi.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know what his impact's going to be. Like the same goes with Ottawa. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. Unfortunately, I have a feeling they might be out of it.
Yeah,
I have an issue with counting out Pittsburgh because, again, Crosby, Malkin, I just, in my gut, I have a problem with it. I'm going to completely change my answer. I'm going to say the Islanders and Florida make the playoffs.
I almost want to stop giving picks because I continue to be wrong.
I know.
Like Buffalo and Ottawa have just, my dream teams have just absolutely dropped the bag, and it's actually very difficult for me to look at. Listen, man, I need the Panthers to go on a run for the fantasy team. Like, I need Bobrovsky. Like, at this point, the Habs are what they are. I need to look at what's best for me. And that is
you don't
Chris
care about that pick anymore?
No, I don't care. It's going to Philly for Carter Hart. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Listen. And for the sake of my fantasy team, what I want to happen is I need Chris Letang to pick it up. Him and Pittsburgh lead the way. Sergei Bobrovsky and the Florida Panthers are going to lead their way. It's Pittsburgh, it's Florida. But if I'm being objective, man, the Islanders just, I've got a feeling the Islanders aren't going away, man, because they just never do. They just never do, and it's concerning to me. But yeah. I want Pittsburgh and Florida. Well, no, I want Ottawa and Buffalo, but that's not happening.
No, I know. I struggle. Maybe it's my bias. I struggle with the Islanders not being in there. Like, I don't know. Like, I know I have Sorokin on my fantasy team 100%, but I think I've been pretty consistent with, like, Sorokin's like the third best goalie in the league, in my opinion.
Fourth behind UC Saros, but you know.
Yeah, I know. You can make the argument. I think it's whatever. It's irrelevant at the moment. But I think to have a goalie of that caliber, you look at the teams behind them, none of them have that. With all due respect to Tristan Jarry and Sergei Bobrovsky, they are nowhere near, in my opinion, Ilya Sorokin.
No. Look at how Jarry played against the Habs. Man, what a guy. Okay, so if we look at the West, the Central has started to, man, the Jets, man. They are now 5 points back of the Avs. The Avs have 3 games in hand. Looks like Winnipeg's officially going to be stuck in this wild card race. Meanwhile, if we look at the Pacific right now, a game in hand have Seattle over the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers are 3 games ahead.
3 points. 3 points.
What did I say? Games. I'm done. Oh my God. I don't know. You can't hear the dog, right?
No, not really.
To me, it just went like, I had surround sound right there. That was terrifying. So Seattle game in hand, but Oilers 3 points ahead. Okay, then we look at the other 3 disappointments. Second wild card is held by the Winnipeg Jets. They have 81 points. A game in hand have the Calgary Flames. They are 4 points back. I had to use my fingers there. Nashville, 5 points back, 3 games in hand over Winnipeg. Who do you have in the West? Please don't say you're going to stretch it and go with St. Louis, because they are a lot of points back. They have 67.
No, only Daniel would. Only Daniel would.
Man, he was right.
He was. He was
right.
He was right. I know. I give him stick for it, but whatever.
He's very right.
To be honest, I think I'm just. I would stick with the 2 teams that are there. Like, I don't think Calgary has it this year. I think we're done. I think we're done.
Really?
Like, yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. I know that's obvious. Like, they're not having a good year. It's a mess. Maybe Nashville can make that push. It's just, I don't know if they have enough. I also don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but I just think.
Have it up.
Okay, they have 14 games left. Like, is it a tough road?
Here are the teams they're playing. LA, that's tough. The Ducks. I'm not counting out the Ducks against the Flames. The Golden Knights.
This is the Flames or the Preds?
The Flames, sorry.
So I was talking about the Preds. Sorry. But no, that's okay. That's okay.
So
Like,
the Sharks,
okay, yeah,
the Kings again,
okay.
the Canucks, the Ducks again, schedule makers, the Blackhawks. On the 5th, it's Winnipeg.
Sorry, and this is for Calgary.
Yes. Then the Canucks again. April 10th, Nashville. Then the 12th, the Sharks again. God, schedule maker. What are we doing here? So, here's the thing: is the Flames have the chance? It's just I don't believe in them.
I don't buy it.
I don't. So I'm going to be boring as well. I'm just going to say I don't think the Jets deserve to make it the way they've been playing. But man, Connor Hellebuyck is just doing everything in his power. So I'll go with Winnipeg and Seattle too.
Yeah.
But man, like I don't know if either of those teams are gonna make any noise. To be honest with you, Seattle was. I don't think anyone's talked about how sort of like mid they've turned into. Like all of a sudden, there's 7 points back of the Kings. You mentioned the goal differential. The Kings are up to a +12, by the way. Corpusal, not bad.
Okay, so you brought up goal differential, and I know this stat's meaningless.
Don't tell me you're about to mention plus minus.
No, but I just want you to understand how ridiculous of a number this is. I want you to close your eyes, in case you haven't already seen it. Okay. Do you know what Boston's goal differential is?
Oh, okay. I know it's plus 100 already, like past that.
It's plus 113. Do you know what the next closest team is?
I'm assuming it's Carolina because it's Carolina. I don't have the East up, by the way. I'm going to say maybe 80s or 70s.
Adam, it's New Jersey with plus 55.
What?
Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
No, I know.
They're right? like 70 ahead.
Yeah.
That's not fair, man. If they lose, it is really going to be the ultimate throw, isn't it?
I'm dumbfounded by that stat.
I think that is that, and that is the end of the show for today.
I have one thing to ask you though.
Oh, okay. Oh,
the Star Wars thing.
Okay.
So I saw this TikTok this morning.
Okay.
It was talking about how to watch Star Wars in timeline order.
Oh God.
And I'd be curious to know if you'd rather watch it like this or if you would rather watch it in release order. And I'm gonna list it off for you. Okay. So first is obviously episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Then it goes episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Worst movie, by the way.
Yes. Then it goes The Clone Wars, the movie. Not the show yet, the movie.
Yeah, awful. Yeah.
That's bad as well. Then it goes then it goes The Clone Wars, the TV show, season 1 to season 7, episodes 1 to 8.
Yeah.
Then it goes Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Then it goes Clone Wars season 7, episodes 9 to 12.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay.
Then Tales of the Jedi.
I haven't seen that yet, but I would understand why. I don't know what happens in it.
Then it's The Bad Batch, season 1 and 2.
Which, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I know what's going on.
Then Solo.
I love that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Such a good movie.
Okay, I believe you. Then Kenobi, obviously.
Love it.
Great show. Then Rebels.
Great show. Haven't seen it, never will.
I thought you have seen it. I thought you told me to watch it.
Rebels. I have seen clips and I have seen the good parts, aka the ones with Darth Maul and Ahsoka.
Oh, okay.
Like the Ahsoka Vader fight I have watched many times.
Yeah, that's what you told me to watch then.
Yes.
Andor. Have you watched this?
No, and I probably never will.
Okay, so that's next on the list. Then it goes Rogue One.
Only the last act is good.
Okay. Yeah. And then it goes A New Hope.
K2 is great though.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Great. Yep. Objectively best movie.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Then The Mandalorian season 1 and 2.
Yep.
Then The Book of Boba Fett, which I honestly haven't watched. Then The Mandalorian season 3.
I haven't watched any of it yet, but I've heard it's good.
Then The Force Awakens.
And then
The Last Jedi.
We don't need to get into that.
Resistance. Have you watched Resistance? I don't know what the
hell is that?
I don't know. I can show you.
Is it animated?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
Okay. and then The Rise of Skywalker is the last one.
Okay, so I would make.
Which way would you rather watch it? Because I have this discussion about Marvel all the time. Would you rather watch it in chronological order, or in release order, or in timeline order? What would you rather do?
Here's the problem. I would rather do it chronologically.
Okay.
But here's the big problem that you have is the Luke, I am your father thing is such an iconic moment, but watching it chronologically makes it so difficult to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
We actually had this discussion before. And what I said is what I would change there is I would actually edit together the end of Clone Wars and Episode 3, because I think watching it together in one sequence is very important.
Okay.
Like, I would argue, by the way, though, and this is probably I'm a little biased because it's what I grew up with. Mm-hmm. I think the last scene of Clone Wars is maybe the most impactful moment in the franchise.
Wow.
Like, I nothing made me feel that empty inside.
When Ahsoka leaves
after that.
Oh, after that. Okay.
After that scene when it leaves off with the man walking and you see the broken helmet.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes, that scene.
Yes.
I have never felt that emotionally, like, ripped apart in my life.
Yeah.
Like, that was so, like, but then it's like, then you go in and you know who Anakin is and you know the Vader thing. So I don't think it would be as impactful if you then watched it, but it's like a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's tough. I don't know what I would say. Because then also it just, because I think if you watched it, obviously, if you're just someone who's watching for the first time, I think you would fall in love with the more modern stuff just because it's obviously the quality. Like, I still think the first two Star Wars movies are objectively the best ones. The first two, because they, like, Empire Strikes Back is just so good.
It's the best one.
But it's just like the emotion you get, the advantage you have with Clone Wars is it's an entire series, multiple seasons. You see Anakin's rise. By the way, Hayden Christensen saying that he's a big fan of that show is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But, like, you see that entire journey, and Ahsoka's journey is it's so difficult to sort of compare it to the movies because it has an unfair advantage.
Right.
So I think if I watched it without knowing and went into it for the first time, I would probably be more invested to Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan than I would be to Leia, Luke, and Han.
Yeah.
Which then takes away the magic of watching it for the first time. And then it's how simple the Force is, and then what ends up happening to it through the movies, and really the bastard, you know what I'm trying to say, how they make it into an ex machina. That's my biggest problem with it, especially in Episode 9.
Yeah.
It's so complicated, and I don't know what the right answer is, because I think it would affect you so much, and I don't think we would really know until maybe we have kids and we take them through that journey. Maybe we experiment, Alex. Okay. I do it one way with my child, you do it the other way, and we see what happens.
Sure.
But I think it completely changes how one becomes a Star Wars fan. It's very difficult, though. It's very difficult.
So based on the conversations I had about Marvel, because I'm not as much anymore into it. When I was younger, I was younger, like, Iron Man was my guy. Yep. Iron Man was my guy. Yep. Now I would say, like, if you've never watched these movies before, I'd say screw it, go in release date order, because I think then you, like, I don't know. I in a way, I just argue sometimes it's better to watch in the same sense with Star Wars. It's like, watch it in release order first time. Yeah. I think you gain the appreciation for the original characters. You go back to you go to look at from episode 1 to 3, and then you do 7, 8, 9. Well, I gotta think if I want to show I gotta think if I want to show my kids those 3 movies in particular. But we'll I got some time. So yeah, that would be my answer.
You know, when people get old enough to actually voice their opinions on social media and they're like, this wasn't as bad as you think it was. Those movies never deserve that fate. I just realized how dark it is and how I should have put my ring light on.
That's okay.
I think we end it there, though.
Yeah. Let's end. I don't have anything.
That was a good
to
question,
say.
though, Alex. I think that was a good.
Yeah.
That was a good discussion. If
Thank you.
episode 300 ends with a mix of what we would talk about in Bizarre Adventures, I think we've ended it off the perfect way.
Yeah,
I liked that.
exactly.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Check us out on all our social medias and the shows, and that the TikToks, as long as it's legal. Facebook, all that stuff. Check us out on YouTube. Give us a rating on whatever app you listen to us to. And we'll see you Wednesday. No, it's Wednesday today, isn't it?
Today's Monday.
Today's Monday.
Probably see you Thursday.
Recording next?
Probably Thursday, maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And we'll see you next time.